Hello, my name's Daniel and I'm a nutritional therapist. And today I'd like to discuss how stress can impact weight gain. I often encounter clients where they're eating a healthy diet, exercise regularly, their macros are all on point, whole foods, organic, everything, yet they still struggle to reach their goal weight. And when we dig a little deeper, we can see that they might be overtraining, working long hours, have sleep issues, or stress at home. And all these things can be contributing to chronic stress. So today I'd like to discuss how chronic stress can interfere with weight loss goals or even contribute towards weight gain. Stress can be real or perceived and is a crucial part of our survival, helping us to adapt to challenges. When we experience acute stress or a fight or flight scenario, the brain activates the sympathetic nervous system to trigger the release of epinephrine and norepinephrine. Next, through the HPA axis, the adrenals are signaled to release the glucocorticoid cortisol. During this time, we will see increased respiration, blood pressure, and heart rate. We also see glucose being directed towards tissues that require the most energy to deal with the threat, like the brain and muscles. Now, this kind of stress response is pretty energetically taxing, so you might ask how it can contribute to weight gain. But the issue occurs with chronic stress. You see, acute or short-term stress can be beneficial, as it can force adaptation. So an example of this would be exercise. However, chronic or long-term unresolved stress can have a detrimental impact on our health. It's believed that chronically high levels of epinephrine and norepinephrine can lead to reduced adrenoceptor sensitivity in adipose tissue, and this can result in fat not being broken down while also contributing towards insulin resistance. This study was able to identify a positive association between basal norepinephrine levels and future weight gain in non-obese men. As I discussed earlier, when we encounter stress, we get an activation of the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, which causes the release of the glucocorticoid cortisol, which is our main stress hormone. Chronically elevated levels of cortisol can encourage abdominal fat storage. It does this by upregulating lipoprotein lipase, which controls fatty acid entry into adipose tissue for storage. And the reason we see fat accumulate more in the abdomen is because visceral adipose tissue has more glucocorticoid receptors. So when we see this accumulation of fat mass in the abdomen, it's worth considering whether stress or elevated cortisol is contributing towards this. From this graph, we can see that obese subjects had higher hair cortisol levels when compared to overweight and normal weight subjects. Hair cortisol concentration measurements are interesting because they provide long-term cortisol exposure, whereas serum or saliva levels provide more of a snapshot of cortisol levels. What's interesting is that our diets can also increase hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis activity, leading to elevated cortisol levels. From this study, we can see that carbohydrates not only prevented a cortisol decrease, but resulted in a temporary increase when compared to fat, protein, or water. Elevated cortisol levels can also impact our thyroid hormones, and one of the ways it can do this is by interfering with the conversion of T4 to the active form T3. This can lead to hypothyroid symptoms like weight gain or difficulty losing weight. Some factors that can increase HPA axis activity leading to elevated cortisol are high glycemic foods. This would be refined carbohydrates and sugars, chronic stress. This could be down to things like relationships, work, or family, chronic pain, alcohol use, chronic inflammation, as well as sleep issues. So what are some ways that we can reduce stress? For starters, we can clean up our diets by reducing processed foods, refined carbohydrates, and sugars. We can also incorporate an exercise routine. Exercise and physical activities produce endorphins, which can help reduce stress. You can also try yoga, massage therapy, a meditation routine, walking in nature, spending time with family and friends, as well as making sure you're getting enough sleep. Lastly, I just want to go over a few supplements that may be beneficial in reducing stress. First, we have ashwagandha, which is an adaptogenic herb. This study demonstrated that ashwagandha was able to reduce stress scores as well as cortisol levels. Next, we have magnesium. Magnesium deficiency has been associated with various stress conditions, and we can also see that acute stress can increase urinary magnesium excretion. So when we experience a lot of stress, we may have an increased demand for magnesium. Magnesium also helps to regulate GABA in the brain. GABA is the main inhibitory neurotransmitter and may help to assist in reducing stress and anxiety. Finally, there's rhodiola extract, which is another adaptogenic herb. There is evidence that rhodiola can be beneficial in reducing stress, burnout, and fatigue. Well, that's it for me. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, make sure to subscribe or follow, and I'll see you next time.